Good afternoon, everybody. Big Mike back here with you once again. Welcome back to Big Mike Talks, where today I'm going to give you my review for WWE Monday Night Raw and AEW Dynamite. A very kind of mixed bag of an episode, couple episodes. I will get to it. Were they entertaining? Sure. But overall, it was definitely more of a mixed bag. As we start with Monday Night Raw, we start with a recap of the Gauntlet match for next week, naming CM Punk the new number one contender for the World Heavyweight title at SummerSlam, in which, yes. Now, I don't normally cover this because usually nothing happens, but we see a bunch of people who are involved in the show arriving. Then we see the Judgment Day arrive in their SUV. They park up. They all get out of their rental car. Then we see Dominic and JD McDonough and no, it was Raquel and Roxanne saying, "Yeah, I'll have your back tonight in your match. Don't you worry about it." Then we see them leave. Dom stays. Then he turns around and sees the valet of the area is AJ Styles, and it looks like he's seen a ghost. And he's like, "I'm not cleared yet, AJ. I'm not cleared yet." I'm gonna say this: Dominic doing some comedy stuff with AJ. It's been kind of fun to watch, to see Dom kind of squirming while AJ is waiting to get his match. So then we cut into the arena and we start with a CM Punk promo. And he says, "I'm happy to be here tonight. I've come back and I've had a couple goes for myself. And life has been a little hard around here. But with all the distractions in my rearview mirror, I can now focus on becoming World Heavyweight Champion. Gunther is one of the best wrestlers in the world today, but I can't guarantee a win. I promise I'll leave it all in the ring. I've been training for this for my entire life. I'm not just any other wrestler. I'm the best in the world." And as he's finishing that, out comes Gunther, the World Heavyweight Champion. Where they have a little stare down for a minute, which I feel like that went on for a little too long. Gunther then says, "First of all, I'm very excited to hear, so let's cut to the chase." At that point, the crowd starts booing Gunther profusely. Gunther continues, "I didn't come out here to throw insults out to you. We're both here for the same reasons. You consider yourself the best in the world. Well, so do I. And you have a massive ego for yourself. My ego is justified because it's not based on what they think. The best in the world is the man who's holding this world title. And at SummerSlam, I'll make you regret coming back. And you'll never be the best in the world. At least you got those degenerates cheering for you the rest of your life." And that ends the segment. No big rebuttal from Punk. He just kind of takes it, which is, honestly, if that's how you put Gunther over, I'm fine with it. Let him do his thing. So next we cut to a Stephanie Vaquer interview backstage where she says, "Green is no longer my problem. I will handle my business when it comes to it. Then Women's World Champion Naomi walks in, says, "Hi, I'm Naomi. I'm the Women's World Champion." Becker says, "I know who you are. And I hope after SummerSlam it is you versus me." Because I want a piece of that. Naomi replies, "Io was walking you like a dog. I'll see you in Paris." So, yeah, definitely an interesting interaction, which leads to something a little bit more interesting a little later in the night. We'll get to it. But first, our first matchup of the evening. And it was a banger as we get Rusev versus Sheamus Part 2. And honestly, they brought the banger every way to Sunday. They countered pretty much every big move they could, including Rusev catching Sheamus mid-bro kick, hitting him with a powerbomb for a 2. After that, Sheamus blocked a Machka kick into a big knee strike for a 2 count. At that point, after a couple of Rusev stomps, Rusev goes over to the turnbuckle, removes not the turnbuckle pad, but the pad protecting the connector, if that makes any sense. So you have the ring post here, the connecting piece, and then the turnbuckle itself. So Rusev removes that, attempts to get Sheamus into the exposed connector. Sheamus blocks it, gets Rusev into it, but then Rusev, with the ref distracted somehow, grabs Sheamus' shillelagh, brings it in, about to hit Sheamus with it. Sheamus counters it with a big bro kick to win the match. And yeah, like I said, this match was absolutely great. Absolute banger. And yeah, they're 1-1 against each other. We gonna have that blow-off match at SummerSlam? I kinda hope so. Anyway, then we get a backstage interview with El Grande Americano. Starts out speaking a little Spanish, which I do not understand. I do apologize for that. But then Dragon Lee comes in, and I'm like, alright, let's see what he has to say. He calls Grande fake and disrespecting Lucha Libre. El Grande says something else, but I didn't quite catch it because he said it a little quick. But then that just leads to a big old brawl between the two. Officials eventually break them up. So it looks like Dragon Lee is going to continue the feud against El Grande in place of Rey Mysterio, which I'm okay with. Yeah, get the man a story. We then get a sneak peek of WWE's next kind of show, which is WWE Unreal, which shows some backstage things for certain events, like when I Show Speed was in the Rumble. Stuff like that. So, could be fun. So then we see Bayley. She's just kind of working out, getting ready for her match. In comes Lyra Valkyria, who comes right up to Bayley, asks, "Why did you ask for this match?" So Bayley reveals, "Well, considering we didn't get it at WrestleMania because Becky took me out, so I figured why not go for the tag titles now. Get you back to Lyra 2 belts." So Lyra then said, "Remember, I beat you last week." So Bayley then says to Lyra, this game we're playing, Becky's winning. So we're going to see them a little bit later on. Next up is a number one contenders match for the World Tag Team titles. You got Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston of the New Day, Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wilde of the LWO, and Brutus and Julius Creed of the American Made. And the way it starts is interesting because they have it as like a pure triple threat where 3 people start in the ring instead of a one-on-one and you tag out. Can tag out to anybody. So, this match was a lot of fun. New Day bringing out the Unicorn Stampede, which is their stomps in the corner into a drop kick. We eventually got a triple tag, hot tag, which was hilarious. At one point, Joaquin Wilde was going for a move out the top rope. Ivy Nile pushes him off the top. Then we have Dragon Lee coming out, checking on Joaquin Wilde. Brutus then pushes Lee out of the way. Lee with a couple of super kicks to both Creed brothers. Out comes El Grande Americano to stop Dragon Lee. They brawl up the ramp for a little bit, but the rest of American Made pull Grande off of Lee. Joaquin Wilde with a beautiful looking moonsault gets him back in. Kofi tags in, goes for a kick, he misses. Cruz del Toro with a roll up for the win for the LWO. So they are the next challengers for the World Tag Team titles. I don't think this is going to lead to a match at SummerSlam. This is probably going to be a match on next week's Raw, which I'm definitely fine with that. Hopefully we get a World and WWE Tag Team title match set for SummerSlam. Next, we get a little video recap of Dominic Mysterio getting involved in the women's tag team title match last week. Then we see something interesting. We see Io Sky hanging out with Asuka and Kairi Sane of the Kabuki Warriors in the back somewhere, with Io saying, you'll hold the tag titles, I'll still be holding the women's world title, we're gonna hold all the gold. So then Kabuki Warriors leave, Stephanie Vaquer walks in and says to Io, I don't know if it's gonna be you versus me in Paris, but I want to see who's best. Remember the last time we faced each other, I had you beat. I don't want to wait to find out. Let's find out tonight. So we got a little bit of a night-long story with Vaquer and Io Sky, with Vaquer challenging Io not for the title, for a one-on-one match, which is nutty in of itself. And then Io was like, yeah, you're on. Let's go. Then we get a very weird video recap of the Roman Reigns, CM Punk, Seth Rollins triple threat match from WrestleMania, which is going back a while. Then we cut to Dominic Mysterio and Adam Pearce kind of arguing with each other, with Pearce saying, go now, go get your new checkup done. Dom's like, but Judgment Day, they need me. Pearce then is like, quit stalling, get it done. Pearce walks off. Dom kind of says under his breath, I'm not stalling. They need me. He goes to walk off. Who comes into frame now just as a janitor? It's AJ Styles. And Donald's like, I'm still not clear, AJ. I don't know what you want. And he just sprints off. So then we see some post-match New Day stuff where they're kind of just kicking themselves, saying, nothing makes sense anymore. Someone please help. We are the greatest team in the world, and we need an advantage. At that point, Grayson Waller walks in, and he says, Theory's done. He's going to be out injured for a while. So I'm a free agent. So now I'm going to go get you guys your car. We're going to talk about this. So Waller walks off, and then we get a very confused New Day standing there like, huh? What? What's going on? So, as you see, A-Town Down Under are no longer a team. I don't know what's going on with Theory. If he's really injured, I hope he heals up soon. If he's about to be a part of something, I hope he finds his way. So, but this is... Man, that's a little disappointing. Like, I was hoping, A-Town Down Under breakup would be a big angle somewhere. Instead, it just happens off screen, which is weird. So next up, we got a little Becky Lynch promo. She hits the ring. She says, no, don't you do that. No. You put some appreciation on my name. I should be at the premiere of Happy Gilmore 2. Instead, I am here. And I have to address some important business. I had the slickest win against Lyra last time we had a match. And she said I held everyone down. I was honest about it, unlike Lyra, who's bullguarding opportunities from others. And who needs 2 titles? And crowd starts booing her because Becky had 2 titles after WrestleMania 35. Where she says, that win at WrestleMania was groundbreaking. This is selfish. So Lyra, I want you out here right now. So Lyra comes out. She says, with Becky saying, we're 1-1 in singles matches. The trilogy ends at SummerSlam. And this time, I'm the champion. I'm the challenger to you. This is Lyra. When you lose, you can never challenge for the title again. Actually, this is still Becky. So this is Lyra now saying, you think when I'm done with the problem, it always comes back. I accept your terms. Here's mine. No countouts, no disqualification, and there must be a winner. And Becky just says, done. Okay. Becky then says to Lyra, you've disrespected me for months. You need to respect this match and me. So I'm going to be the bigger person and ask you to shake my hand. So Becky extends her hand to Lyra. Lyra shakes it. Becky attempts a manhandle slam. Lyra blocks it. Lyra hits a manhandle slam. And, I guess we're a little bit on even playing field. So that was definitely cool to see. Still not 100% sure where this match at SummerSlam is going to go. But a couple added stipulations. I don't mind it. Which leads us into our next matchup of the evening. We got the women's tag team title on the line as Lyra Valkyria and Bayley challenge Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez of the Judgment Day. And now I am going to say this. Raquel Rodriguez, I think, is one of the most improved wrestlers, on any roster right now. She is so good right now. She does the powerhouse thing really well, while also not looking super powerful, Like, there's levels to this, and I think Raquel gets it. Lyra attempts... there's times where Bayley is too scared to go after Raquel, so she attempts to tag in Lyra. Lyra pulls back her hand. Eventually, she does get in, and they do some double team moves, which is awesome. Raquel with an awesome Falcon Arrow mid-match. Roxanne hits the moonsault to pick up a 2 count. Tags Raquel back in, hits a gigantic Beal. Goes for the Vader bomb, but that misses. Roxanne tags in, Bayley tags in. They just beat the heck out of each other. Bayley with an impressive sunset flip powerbomb into the corner for a 2 count. Bayley with some clotheslines. Raquel tags in, but then immediately tags in Roxanne. Raquel hits a power slam. Roxanne attempts the moonsault. Bayley gets her knees up. Bayley tosses Roxanne over the top. Hits a couple of knees to Raquel, only to get a 2. Lyra tags in, hits a leg drop. Then Raquel and Bayley just brawl on the outside for a bit. Lyra attempts the Nightwing, that gets blocked. Roxanne attempts a superplex, that gets blocked into a powerbomb off the middle rope. Bayley tags in, hits an elbow drop for a 2 count. Bayley hits a crossbody, but before she can go for a pin, Dom is up on the apron. Bayley goes after Dom. He drops down. Roxanne with a roll-up for a 2. Then we see on the outside, Lyra gets in Dom's face. Raquel goes for a big boot to Lyra. Lyra ducks out of the way, hits Dom. And then Lyra with a big drop kick. Roxanne with a couple of sling blades. Then we see some ringside doctors checking on Dominic. And then we see one who's dressed up as a doctor. It's AJ Styles as he attempts CPR on Dom, which gets him up almost immediately. Then we see Becky Lynch come out to pretty much take out Lyra. Roxanne attempts another roll-up for a 2 count. Lyra attempts a roll-up of her own. That gets a 2 count. Eventually, Raquel tags in. Bayley hits a Bayley to belly on Roxanne. Raquel gets in, hits a Tejana bomb to pick up the win for her team. And honestly, that was a very great, very fun tag team match. Making the titles feel at least a bit important, which is always good. I'm also kind of sick of all the interferences from the Judgment Day. We need to change that up a little bit. Anyway, next up we go to a Sami Zayn interview. he's standing right in gorilla position, where he says, yeah, I'm not 100% right now, but this with Cross doesn't need to drag on. Whatever it is he's doing, I missed a lot last week because of him. I don't need to wait. I'm going to end this right now. So he makes his entrance. Then we get a video recap of the Raw after WrestleMania with Braun Breaker joining Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman and their crew, which I honestly forgot that's where that happened. After spearing the taste out of Roman's mouth. So then we see Dom backstage. He's looking all over the place. He's trying to figure out where AJ is. Then he runs into Finn and JD McDonough, where Finn says, look, AJ isn't around right now, but the Prince is in. So Adam Pearce walks in saying, look, if you don't come and get cleared now, I'm going to make you vacate this title and we're going to look for a new champion. Dom starts to say something. Pearce is like, come get cleared now. And they walk off. So next up, we got Sami Zayn taking on Karrion Kross. And I'm going to say this. I'm not a big fan of Karrion Kross, the wrestler. I know he's probably a pretty good guy, but he's kind of uninspiring as a wrestler. Like, he's fine. He does a lot of good stuff. Decent back and forth. He does do a very odd suplex. At one point, we see Kross remove the bandages wrapped around Sammy's midsection, and he just starts superplexing him, powerbombing him. So then, after a big powerbomb off the top by Sami Zayn, only getting a 2 count, Scarlett then finds what looks like a nightstick with a pipe set on top of it, in which they're like, oh, that's Kross's pipe he's been using to take out Sammy. So Scarlett tries at one point to give it to Kross, but the ref catches her. Sammy with a big suplex into the corner. Then Scarlett puts the pipe in Kross's hand. He goes to attack with it. Sammy attempts a haluva kick. Scarlett grabs his leg. And then Kross with a pipe shot. And the pin to pick up the win. So, that felt kind of like a nothing match. I hope we get to see this this feud finish up in the next couple of weeks. Maybe at SummerSlam? I don't know. We then see AJ Styles and Adam Pearce. They're outside the doctor's office. They're kind of, jawing back and forth a little bit. Then the doctor comes out. And he says, the evaluation is done on Dominic. We are just waiting for some results. Then at that moment, Dominic attacks AJ from behind and apparently Pearce from behind. Apparently Pearce had a contract on him as well. So Dom flips it open, signs it, drops it, says, see you at SummerSlam, AJ. I am so in for that. That sounds like a ton of fun. Let's do it. So our next matchup, we got non-title match. Oh, excuse me. between Io Sky and Stephanie Vaquer. And this match absolutely ruled. There's not that much I can say about this matchup. They definitely went counter for counter. One point we saw Io lock in a crossface, which that was awesome. Vaquer with a sunset flip bomb, but that gets blocked. Io with a knee drop. Vaquer then with a devil's kiss on the apron, which that looked wild. Then another round of devil's kiss in the ring, only gets a 2 count. Io with a gigantic leg whip. Vaquer with some knees in the corner goes for the SBV. That gets blocked by Io. Io with a backbreaker for a 2 count. Hits the bullet train attack. Goes for the over the moonsault. Vaquer gets her knees up. Vaquer with a superplex. And then as they're both laying out comes Piper Niven and Alba Fire of the Secret Service. Vaquer fights them off after a little bit. But then Chelsea Green attacks Vaquer from behind. The Secret Service then toss Io Sky out of the ring. They beat them both up for a little bit. Io then fights off the Secret Service for a minute. Then Naomi attacks Io from behind with her title. The Secret Service continue their attack on Vaquer while Naomi takes on Io. At that point, Rhea Ripley's music hits. She comes out, makes the save, runs off the Secret Service, and then hits a Riptide on Naomi. So, this definitely some interesting interconnected stories being told here. Then we got a nice little SummerSlam card rundown, which was very cool. And then, before our main event segment, we get Paul Heyman, Braun Breaker, and Bronson Reed come out, with Heyman, starting a promo, saying, "Standing before you with the future of this industry, Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed." And before he comes out, I have a lot to get off my chest. But before he can say a word, out comes Roman Reigns. So Roman gets his full entrance, pyro and all, makes it to the ring, where Heyman starts off saying, "Look, I never wanted to be disrespectful or rude to you. Your bets start with me. I apologize. I never wanted this to be what it seems. Like I would be disrespectful, rude, like someone born in Texas," which got some heat from the crowd. Heyman continues, "So that you know, Seth is going to be out of action for a long time. And that opens up a leadership void here. And we can fix this. We can put this back together. You know we are better together than as opponents. You'll always be my family because I love you, my tribal chief." And before Roman can get a word in, Paul Heyman puts up the ones. So I thought Roman took the microphone out of Heyman's hand. Instead, he has one of his own, and he says, "I'm going to put that on pause." He continues, "What was he talking about? You want me to lead your little group? A few years ago, I'd say these were wise words from a wise man. But you're not a wise man anymore. You're just a dumbass." Which, Great line. Roman continues, and what I'm about to do to you, what he's going to do to me, you take all the credit. You take credit for creating the tribal chief. But it wasn't him. They still acknowledge me. The OTC was a champion. And this man played a part. But he didn't play any part in me keeping the title. The Usos did. Solo did. Hell, even Sammy played a part. And yeah, I lost the title. I went home to raise the future bloodline. It's family. Dumbass here thought we were just another faction. No, that was God's work. None of it bothers me. You used to be our friend, Paul. You thought you were our friend, Paul? But no, you were just a business partner. I made you a part of this family. And what did you do? He threw it all away for a best friend? And you betrayed me and my family. Don't come out here and say I ruined the bloodline when this dumbass did. So Braun Breaker starts to set up, steps up to Roman, takes the microphone out of his hands, and says, listen to me. Look around you. We don't want you here anymore. You're yesterday's news, and you're just taking up a spot in my ring. I hold value in this place, and you're worthless. I'm the top dog now. I'm the man around here, and you should do what's best. Turn around and leave. So Roman is about to step out of the ring, stops, comes back in, grabs the microphone back, says, I gotta be honest, I didn't hear a word of that trash. If you need to speak again, use this microphone. So he tosses it to Breaker, hits a Superman punch on him. Reed goes for a splash, that misses. He hits a spear on Reed, but the numbers game catches up to Roman. Bronson Reed was about to hit a big old tsunami when Jey Uso makes the save. Super kicks both men. Roman with a big uppercut. And then both Roman and Jey hit spears on Reed and Breaker. Then we see Roman kind of down in the corner with Jey helping him up. And that's how we get end the show. Honestly, this Raw was pretty darn good. It was definitely a little bit of a mixed bag in places. Like, I would like to see the Vacker Io Sky match have an actual finish. Although something tells me in Paris we're going to see that. And then also we had interference in the ton of interference in the tag title match. So I feel like we need to, maybe do some different things with these stories. So, yeah, that was Monday Night Raw. Very entertaining. But again, bit of a mixed bag. But next up, we got AEW Dynamite. And I'm going to say this. This should have been the Dynamite after All In. Because that's what it felt like. As first, we get announced a World Tag Team Title Tournament to see who faces the Hurt Syndicate at Forbidden Door, which I'm always up for a tournament. Let's go. However, the only teams announced so far is FTR and Jet Speed. So I'm not sure what other teams we got involved. Are we going to have some guys from New Japan, from CMLL, maybe from some other places? I'm not sure. Then we get a little quick Dynamite card rundown, which that was a little whiplashy. Then we go backstage for a Hangman Adam Page interview, where Hangman says, Saturday, the Death Riders beat up my friend Colt Cabana. I'm going for payback tonight against Yuta. Before he can continue, in walks MJF, who says, despite what you think, I don't need this contract to beat you. I'm going to beat you fair and square in that ring. So Hangman kind of squares up for a minute. They go face to face, with Hangman saying, you better use that contract because I know you won't, because you're a gutless coward. And he walks off. You can see MJF was shaken by those words very clearly. So our first matchup is Hangman Adam Page taking on Wheeler Yuta. And this is something I absolutely appreciate from AEW. We have our champions actually wrestling on this show, which is something I think WWE can get back to soon. So, we start with Yuta attacking Hangman before the bell. Yuta gets advantage really early on. Hangman goes for a Deadeye that gets blocked. Yuta with an eye rake. But then Hangman hits a clothesline, which sets him up for a buckshot lariat for a big win from Hangman Page. Honestly, match itself was fine. It didn't need to be much more than that. Post-match is where the interesting things happen. Because then you see Hangman take the chain he beat Jon Moxley with, wrap it around his fist, hits Yuta a couple times, then he unwraps it from his fist, he wraps it around Yuta's neck, looks like he's about to throw him over the top rope. He stops. Then he screams a little at Yuta. You see this, Yuta? Your Death Riders aren't here. They don't care about you. So Hangman takes the chain off of Yuta's neck and he leaves. So, this is a very interesting little story. I'm surprised it's continuing, but not for much longer. We'll get to that in a minute. Next up, we get a little pre-match prep talk from Athena to what's her name? Billy Starks. I knew I remembered her name. So it's like, who am I? You're the ROH Women's Champion. Who's your opponent? An overrated old hoe. I have the power. I'm coming for my title. So we're going to see that matchup later. We then get a video recap of the Cope-Stokely Hathaway interaction from last week, with Stokely eating a spear at the end, which that was still so cool to see. Next up, we got the first round matchup of the AEW Tag Team Title Tournament, as we got FTR taking on Jet Speed. And oh boy, this match was fantastic. This was great tag team action. Even though I don't think these teams have ever faced each other before. Although I think Kevin Knight and Kushida teamed together to face FTR. I think. But yeah, this match was great. Jet Speed versus the tenacity and technical ability of FTR was great. Early on, FTR goes for the Shatter Machine, but that gets blocked into a roll-up for a 2 count. Like, really, really good back and forth. They fought on the outside for a little bit. But then after a big old power bomb from Kevin Knight, who goes for a roll-up, only gets a 2. Then Dax with a roll-up on Knight. And with Stokely Hathaway holding his legs in the ropes, your winners are FTR. And honestly, while I'd rather not see FTR cheat, I'm totally okay with it. And like I said, this match was tag team wrestling at its best. So post-match, we got a little FTR interview in which Stokely Hathaway takes command on, saying, Adam Copeland, you belong in prison. Everyone knows I'm not a pro wrestler, so you had no business putting your hands on me. Cope is a loser and a cancer to AEW. And at that moment, Copeland comes out. FTR's ready for him. Stokely then like, whoa, stop right there. Adam, last week, I made it clear you aren't allowed in the vicinity of FTR. So Copeland kind of shrugs his shoulders and says, oh yeah, I forgot. But I came out here to announce I made a deal with some gentlemen to do what I can. And they're in the business of hurting people. So we get MVP come out with Lashley and Benjamin. Lashley and Benjamin get in the ring and they brawl with FTR. And it was such a good brawl. Officials come out initially to break it up, but they continue brawling. And Copeland gets in the ring. He's looking to spear the taste out of Stokely's mouth. He goes for the spear. Stokely then pushes one of the security guards into Copeland's way. Copeland spears the poor security guard. And, FTR and Stokely escape. So, next up is the former Patriarchy. So that's Nick Wayne, Kip Sabian, and Mama Wayne, with Nick Wayne taking the lead. Saying, at All In, we took a big risk, but no risk is without its reward, and it's time we back up our words physically. So we're going to show what we are capable of when we are uncaged, which is a great line. This is definitely going to be interesting. So next up, we get a Jon Moxley promo. He's in the bowels of the arena somewhere, saying Hangman thought it was brought it all at All In, but can he do it again tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after? Is he ready to go again? Avoiding the rematch isn't something you do. Now, how about how this movie ends? That's not how the movie is supposed to end, and I will fix it. And by the end of tonight, we're going to find out who the real Hangman is that walked out of All In. Ooh, that's some ballsy talk from Moxley. So then, we taper down the mood a little bit with a Will Ospreay interview where he's saying, thanks guys, I wish I was wrestling here tonight because I love wrestling in Chicago. I wasn't originally supposed to be here tonight, but I wanted to give everyone a little update on my health. I've been struggling with my neck for 10 months now. I never told anyone about it. I wanted to get over the finish line. I made promises to all kinds of people. And while that title win was great, the Death Riders do what they did. I got 2 herniated discs in my spine, but we caught it in enough time that it's treatable, and hopefully I should be back for Forbidden Door. Ospreay continues, Swerve, I love you. Hangman, I'm proud to call you my champion. To the Death Riders, the moment I come back, it's an eye for an eye, so no, I'm coming for you. So at that point, Ospreay walks up the ramp. He's a little somber. Swerve meets him on the stage, and they have a nice little embrace. Which, I'm going to say that this stinks. I hope Ospreay does heal up soon, but I also hope he doesn't rush. Because 2 herniated discs in his spine, that sounds like really, really serious. So, Ospreay, I know you plan to come back at Forbidden Door, but please, for the love of God, take your time. If that means you have to miss Forbidden Door, so be it. There'll be other Forbidden Doors. Please, take your time and heal. So then we get a Thekla, Julia Hart, and Sky Blue vignette, kind of confirming their alliance, which, honestly, that was very, very cool. Then we get a Willow Nightingale interview where she says, Ooh, I don't know what's next for me. I spent the past few months dealing with the Death Riders and Chris Statlander, but there's a new sense of life in the women's division. There's so many new faces I want to face, and that brings me to Thekla. You feel your spidey senses tingling? That's me. If you need me, I'll be in the ring. Ooh, that should be a great little matchup. So next up, we're in some locker room somewhere. This looks like a high school locker room, which is crazy looking. For a Hurt Syndicate interview. No MJF. However, he does walk in where he says, You boys with Cope now? Where were you when I was nose to nose with Hangman? So Lashley turns to him and says, Max, we're in the business of hurting people. So MJF replies, How does that help me get my title back? So Lashley hands MVP the tag team title, pushes MJF into the locker, and says, Every week it's me, me, me. Now shape up or you're going to be out of the Hurt Syndicate. In which we see Bobby Lashley gives a thumbs down to MJF. As we see the rest of the Hurt Syndicate file off screen. Oh, this is going to be interesting for MJF. So then, next up, before the next match, we see Athena. She's up in a balcony, kind of where Toni Storm was. For our next matchup, as we have Timeless Toni Storm taking on Billy Starks. Now, I will say this match did start off a little bit awkwardly, but they eventually get right into it, and their chemistry was off the chart. One point near the end, we have Billy attempting a swanton. Toni gets her knees up. And then Toni locks in the chicken wing, which I kind of forgot she had that in her arsenal, to pick up the submission win. And as Toni is celebrating, Billy Starks picks up the AEW Women's title and just attacks Toni Storm with it. Then she beckons for Athena to come down, in which she makes her way down. She makes the way in. Then Starks throws the referee to the outside of the ring. So Athena makes it to the ring. hits Toni Storm with her contract, with her gauntlet match contract, and then just starts beating her down. Billie Starkz then goes and gets the ref. It looks like Athena signs the contract and is about to cash in when Alex Windsor makes the save, in which I'm not sure of the connection there, but it's good to see Alex Windsor in a more prominent spot. That's great. That's awesome. As we have Alex Windsor actually challenging Athena for the Ring of Honor Women's title on Collision this weekend. So that should be fun. This next matchup, a matchup I don't think I would have ever had on my bingo card, but I'm glad we got it. We got Henchizero taking on Swerve Strickland. And man, this was great. This was a beautiful match. Like, you had Henchizero with more of a ground and pound and a great technical style, while Swerve Strickland was a bit more high speed, high energy. Although it's not like Henchizero didn't have high energy. He absolutely did. So they go back and forth after a while. And then during a Swerve stomp attempt, Archer actually attacks Swerve, so the match gets thrown out. Callis family, a couple other members of the Callis family come out, start just beating down on Swerve. Out comes Bandito and Brody King to make the save. They brought on the back with Archer and Henchizero. So then that leaves Swerve in the ring. Okada then attacks Swerve with a chair from behind. He's about to pile drive Swerve onto the chair, but Swerve blocks it. Swerve then puts the chair on Okada hardcore necktie style. Goes for the house call, but Okada pushes the chair off of himself and bails. So, yeah, this feud is definitely getting interesting. I'm wondering where they're going to have this, because I don't think they're going to have this at Forbidden Door, but I could be very, very wrong. Next, we get a recap of AR Fox versus Ricochet from Collision, along with the Gates of Agony winning a $10,000 tag team match, which I don't really like that. Anyway, that brings us to a Ricochet and Gates of Agony interview. So Ricochet kind of takes the lead on it, saying, I tell you what, last week we had back-to-back victories with Gates of Agony beating some of the best teams in AEW. So then Toa Leona, Bishop Khan jumps in saying the Guns are out there shooting blanks. Ricochet continues, so we're going to invest this money in our quest for gold, and one way or another, you'll respect us or you're going to fear us. So, yeah, that's definitely going to be something. Apparently Colton Gunn suffered an injury during that match. Hopefully it's not a long injury, because he just got back. So, next up, we got an MJF promo in the ring saying, let me explain to you guys something. I don't need Lashley to get my title back. As far as the Cowboy goes, you're the coward. I'm not going to execute my contract. I'm going to beat you in the ring with the title around my waist. And this brings out Mark Briscoe, who says, now, much like that little kosher pickle you got there, I'm going to keep this short and sweet. I'm doing all I can to not rush down there and shove that microphone where the sun don't shine. Max, bottom line, you stole that win from me at All In, so that contract should be rightfully mine. And I want you right here, right now. So let's do it. So MJF gets a little shitty grin on his face, saying, no. You're saying, MJF, I had that match won. You stole it from me. Wrong. If you were supposed to win that match, you would have. And I thrive with pressure put on me, and I win. I am the most complete wrestler today, and I'm going to open up. I think you suck. I think you're just as white trash as everybody. And I'm no idiot. I know everybody loves you, and I know why. Because you're funny. You make people feel warm and fuzzy. But not even your biggest fans think you're a top guy. You're a joke. You're a circus clown. And they don't respect you. But I know someone who people did respect. And you know who I'm talking about. He'd be worth my time. And you can go home, look your family in the eye, and know no one respects you like they did Jay. At that point, Mark Briscoe rushes the ring, and MJF bails, which leads us to our main event. A very unexpected main event, as we have Mark Briscoe taking on Claudio Castagnoli. And know this, while I did not watch ROH when these two were at the height of their power, the Briscoe brothers and the Kings of Wrestling, which was Claudio and Chris Hero, had some absolute bangers in classic ROH. And I'm going to say go back and watch them, because they're great. And this match was fast and furious right off the bat. They're hitting each other with their biggest moves, with Claudio trying to cheat his way to a win. One point we see Mark Briscoe go for an axe handle off the middle. That gets intercepted by a big old uppercut by Claudio. Only gets him a 2. Then you see Claudio staring into the crowd. Who's standing there? It's Darby Allin. That distracts Claudio long enough for Mark Briscoe to take advantage. Looked like Mark was attempting a Uranagi, but that gets blocked. They go back and forth with the suplexes. Mark Briscoe with a big old blockbuster. Hits the froggy ball, only gets a 2. Attempts the J-Driller, but that gets blocked. Claudio with some elbows, big chop. Goes for a superplex, but that gets blocked into an eye rake. Claudio with a power slam off the top rope, only getting a 2. Hitting a hammer and anvil elbow. Attempts the neutralizer, that gets blocked. But Claudio immediately with an eye rake. Couple uppercuts, only for a 2 count. Goes for the neutralizer again, but that gets blocked. Mark with a roll-up for your winner, Mark Briscoe. And at that point, the rest of the Death Riders come out, and they just beat the heck out of Mark Briscoe. Jon Moxley then gets a microphone, says, Hangman thinks he's a champion. He isn't the champion yet, so why doesn't he come out here now? So Hangman comes out, no music, walks right into the Lion's Den, gets right into Moxley's face, says, you told me I didn't want Texas Death Match. And you thought I didn't work under pressure. So why don't we do all this again? I think you believe that. But not tonight, Mox. the Mox that... I don't want the Mox that I see here tonight. I want the Mox who put the AEW on his back. Because next week, it's going to be Mox versus Hangman for the AEW World Title. And considering I'm the champion now, I picked the stipulation. And everyone but the referee is banned from ringside. I'll see you next week, dumbass. At that point, Hangman puts down the microphone and walks off to end the show. I am kind of excited that we're getting the rematch so soon. I'm a little nervous that it's just going to be on TV, which, thank you, Tony Khan, for doing that. But, next week's going to be very, very interesting. So, that'll do it for Dynamite. Definitely structured a bit better than what we had on Raw. And, we're getting, an immediate rematch. This is going to be very, very interesting to see. And I hope you guys enjoyed. Later on tonight is SmackDown. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to do a Collision watch along. But we'll see. That review should be Monday. I also plan to review Fantastic Four First Steps. So, we'll see what happens there. Till next time, happy wrestling, everybody. Peace.